All right, guys, we are back with Hakuoki, and we are trying to decide if we're going to go to the inner courtyard to go check on Okita, or to the common room where we could potentially find Heisuke and Sanan. And I figured out a better way to handle the fact that I'm like trying to keep an eye on a timer and also have the guide open and also have the game open. I figured it out. Just know that. So, what we're going to do is go to the common room, obviously, because that's where Sanan might be. It seems like a very obvious idea. I heard Heisuke and someone else talking as I walked down the hall. They were in the common room then. Damn it. I wish I was out there right now. You know, screwing around in this old place is boring. Your injury may not be too serious, but there is no sense in taking unnecessary risks. It sounded as if Sanan was actually trying to cheer Heisuke up. How long had it been since I'd heard Sanan say something nice to someone? He was a very kind man, once upon a time. I missed that, Sanan. Yeah. It still hurts, I know that. And I know it's important to protect headquarters. Well, as soon as your injuries heal, you'll be able to return to the front lines. Far better than being condemned to spend the rest of your life as a pariah, such as myself. Sanan, that is just very self-attacky, okay? You need to not do that. Well, I guess. Oh, poor Heisuke. What an awkward... Sanan! An awkward silence fell over the room. It would have been rude for me to speak up, having left the inn unharmed on that fateful night. But if I pretended to enter for another matter, it would make it clear I was eavesdropping. I had no choice then. I had to return to my room. As I turned to do so, Sanan's voice stopped me cold. But perhaps with the right treatment, I could hold a sword again. Treatment? What do you mean by that? Medicine? But he was already taking the Ishida powder. Unless he was talking about something else. I hope you guys didn't forget the supernatural aspect to this, because while it is based on history, it's also not. Also, I'm sitting here like gesticulating at the camera like it can see me, but it can't. So, I mean, that's kind of funny. But, yeah, I hope you didn't forget that there is a supernatural aspect to this, because there is. Oh boy, is there. What? Come on, Sanan, you aren't thinking of joining the Furies, right? Heisuke shouted at Sanan. What was this conversation about? God, Sakura, come on. I swear to God, you haven't already forgotten, like, literally the rules to your staying here, which was, like, don't know anything. Just, like, close your ears and pretend everything is normal. Something about this conversation seemed familiar. I heard them mention something like it around when I first arrived. You are too curious for your own good, child. We were eating dinner together when we'd received the news of Sanan's injury. If push comes to shove, he'll have to take it. I don't think Sanan's just going to give up. Don't jinx him, Soji. It's gonna look bad if officers start joining the Furies. They'd mentioned the serum then, too. Well, they didn't really say that word, but, you know. Are they talking about that? But it didn't work, right? Soji and Hajime had to kill them, remember? Okita and Saito had to kill them. That night was an experience I would never forget, but what did it have to do with this treatment? True, it wasn't complete, but if we find Kodo, then he should provide the assistance we need. Father? What did Father have to do with their treatment? This was a great deal of information to take in. Information that you are not supposed to have! My mind was a hurricane of thoughts, suspicions, and fears trickling through the corners of my mind. Even as I struggled to make sense of what I'd just heard, I knew that I had stumbled onto something dangerous. Something I shouldn't know. You think, Sakura? You think? No, I'm not quick to... No, I don't... hang on. Suddenly, I wanted very much to be gone. Why did I stay and listen? Oh, thank God, she knows. I was such a fool. I'm sorry, but I need to ask you to not repeat anything you may have heard. His cold, quiet voice filled the empty hall because, of course he found me. I'm not trying to quick load. Maybe the words that came out of Sanan's mouth were directed strictly to Heisuke. Heisuke responded with a furrowed brow. Yeah? Sure, Sanan. I won't say anything, but seriously, man, you can't do this. Oh, so Sanan said it to Heisuke, and she just kind of gasped. But he probably knows we were in the hallway. I helplessly felt like those words were directed towards me. I scurried from the area as I grasped my fast-beating heart. Yeah, they were definitely why would he say that to Heisuke? Obviously, Heisuke knows not to repeat anything. It's definitely a message for us, but Heisuke doesn't need to know that we were there. If what Sanan had suggested really did happen, as silently as I could, I moved down the hall and away from the common room, back to the room I suddenly wished I'd never left. The Choshu extremists' attempted attack on the imperial estate eventually came to be known as the Hamaguri Rebellion, the incident wherein the forces of the Choshu domain fought the shogunate and the Shinsengumi near Hamaguri Gate to regain power in the government after they were expelled. So that is another historical battle that did actually seriously for real happen, that we could have taken part of, obviously, depending on who we were pursuing. Because we are pursuing Sanan, and Sanan is sidelined, this storyline is kind of sidelining us as well, but we are still a part of the history. We are just focused on our gorgeous green-haired emo. Although the Shinsengumi were called to action, their efforts were stymied, and they found little in the way of glory. Communication with their superiors was poor at best, and they spent much of the battle waiting with the reserves. When the Shinsengumi finally entered the battle, each man found several strange opponents waiting for him. Shikage Kazama, who defeated Okita at Ikeda, claimed to be from the Satsuma domain during his encounter with Hijikata. Alright, Shikage Kazama, a very skilled man with apparent ties to the Satsuma domain. His extreme strength and prowess with swords rivals that of even the best Shinsengumi swordsmen. I think it's actually better. We want Satsuma domain. They are one of our enemies, for sure. There they are. A domain governed by an opposition daimyo named Shimazu. Shimazu. I'll figure it out. They initially supported imperial unification, but they eventually allied with Choshu in the interest of removing the shogun. Kyuju Amagiri, the man who shattered Heisuke's headguard at Ikeda, also claimed membership in the Satsuma. This guy, I think, is a dateable option now? I might be wrong. I thought it was him, but now I don't think it is. They had also met Kyo Shiranui, who'd fought alongside men from Choshu. Whoever they were, it was clear they were not allies of the Shinsengumi. Indeed, it seemed they could easily become some of its greatest enemies. If they were to meet in open battle, the casualties would be severe. By the time the battle was over, the commanders of the Choshu attack had been killed in the fighting, or took their own lives. There were some soldiers, however, who escaped, setting Kyoto ablaze as they fled. By some terrible misfortune, winds that day blew from the north and fanned the flames, reducing the southern end of the imperial estate to ash. As a result of the Choshu attack, many imperial nationalists were executed. With the Hamaguri rebellion over, the Choshu were branded as traitors for attacking the estate. From then on, they were acknowledged enemies of the court. A traitor to the court. Okay. Again, maybe we didn't need that one. Shikage Kazama. Also a dateable option. Okay, I guess I was wrong about the blue-haired guy because he didn't get added to the warrior thingamabob that does the job. Neither did Amagiri, so clearly he is not. September 1864. The closeness in time between the battles of the Ikeda Inn and the Imperial Palace created significant civil unrest within Kyoto. The Shinsengumi redoubled their efforts to keep people safe, but the more they worked, the more the shogun put them to work. His approval of their activities meant more official business, and it stretched them thin. Even with recruits from Kyoto and Osaka, it wasn't enough. After many discussions, the Shinsengumi chose to recruit even more men from Edo, and Heisuke was tasked with preliminary scouting in the city. The hardened sun kissed our burning cheeks as Kondo and I saw Heisuke off, his grin wide and his bags packed from the night before. Well, I'll be on my way now. Make sure no one causes trouble while I'm gone. Okay, I promise to help as much as I can. Find us a good crop of men, Heisuke. I'll join you there next month. The plan was for Heisuke to hit Edo early and scope the potential men, and have Kondo follow behind a month after to make the final say with recruits. Isn't there someone you mentioned wanting to see? I remember you saying something like that. Oh, we never told you, Yukimura. I believe his name is Ito. He fights using the Hokushin Ito style, and, word is, he's well versed in his strategy. This guy, the head of the Hokushin Ito Dojo and a loyal subject to the Emperor. Oh. That guy. That guy is just not fun. Hokushin Ito. A sword style that was popular in Edo during the Bakamatsu period. Why is there two? A sword style that was popular in Edo during the Bakamatsu period. Both Ito and Tondo use this fighting style. Truth be told, this is Heisuke. Truth be told, I don't really know him well, but I'm pretty sure he'll at least hear me out. And that's more than enough. He's an imperialist, but if we approach him right, and with respect, he'll see fit to help us. I know he will. Kondo nodded confidently, but Heisuke looked like he wasn't quite as sure. Anyway, I'm off. I'll do my best to find information on Kodo while I'm there, so just wait until I get back. Okay, be careful. I watched him go, and the smaller his back became, the lonelier I felt. When I couldn't see him anymore, my heart twinged. I glanced up at Kondo. You look happy. You're thinking about all the new warriors you're getting, right? Yeah, seeing our numbers increase is a wonderful thing. If they're strong and able, even better. He buffed out his chest and grinned. His relief at recruiting new members reflected just how worried he must have been. I hadn't realized how much we were struggling. We are always in need of new warriors, Sakura. For every one lost, we need like 5 more. Kondo kept his men close to his heart, and now he could smile. Time passed quickly after Heisuke left, and a month soon went by. The day for Kondo to leave for Edo was upon us, and I saw him off the next morning. I came across Kondo in the yard, mired in his thoughts. Hello, Kondo. Oh, it's you, Yukimura. Is something the matter? Oh, no, nothing like that. I was just thinking about how you'll be on your way to Edo tomorrow. I'm not trying to do that. True enough. Can't leave Heisuke hanging for too long, right? It will be a little lonely around here once you've left headquarters too. Don't worry. I'll only be gone for a month. Toshi'll take care of everything while I'm away. He didn't know his kind generosity, and Heisuke's bright personality kept me going day after day here. They were the highlights of my restrictive life. With both of them gone, Kondo hadn't even left yet, and I was already feeling an uncontrollable loneliness sweep over me. It must have shown on my face because he suddenly looked troubled. Oh yeah, is there anything you want me to bring back for you from Edo? A memento from your hometown, perhaps? Oh no, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. You sure? Is there anything else I can do for you? Anything that's in my power to grant, I will. He was so accommodating to me already. I didn't have any complaints. But there was something I'd desired for a while, but never had the nerve to ask before. Before you leave for Edo, could you train me? Wait, are you talking about learning swordplay? Yes. Oh, no, that's a bad idea. I'm really aggressive when I teach. If I somehow hurt you, I wouldn't be able to face your father. Oh. But I have to say, that came out of nowhere. Did you have a reason? His eyebrows furrowed in concern. I stepped out of line, apparently. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trouble you at all. Please forget I asked. He was right. It did come out of nowhere. And it wasn't like he had a lot of free time either. To put it aside for someone not a part of the Shinsengumi, it was foolish. Wait, I don't know why you want this, but when your face looks like that, I can't say no to you. Huh? I'll gladly train you. Well, so long as we don't go overboard and accidentally hurt you. Really? Kondo! We found a cord to tie up my sleeves and set about training me. Normal Shinsengumi training revolved around real-life sparring with wooden swords. Kondo decided to go easy on me with a bamboo stick. That's not? I think it is. I think I click and I drag, and I think that does it. Let's get started. I have to warn you, though. Tenon Rishin style is a little rough. Right, I'm ready. Okay, let's begin with checking your stance. You said you were trained before, correct? Yes. It was mostly for self-defense, but I did receive instruction in fighting with a kodachi. Good. That means you don't have to learn a new form. Get into the stance you've been taught. Okay. Oh, she's adorable. Bamboo stick in hand, I moved into the familiar stance that I'd memorized during my training. Too weak! Like a whip, his harsh words stung as he barked. If someone comes to attack you from the front, the first thing they'll reach is your sword and your sword arm. They'll knock your sword away if your grip is too weak. You must keep an eye out for that. Okay. Oh, look at our girl. He hit me with the full brunt of his strength, with his stringent teaching. I could see he was taking this seriously. He wasn't going easy on me because I was a girl. Now you're holding on too tight. Given your slight build, you should do your best to avoid a strike from the front. To do that, you'll have to dodge or redirect the impact, but if you're grasping your sword tightly. Alright, our girl got lessons! With Kondo's instruction, I practiced swinging the sword over and over, doing my best to learn and retain everything he was teaching me. Oh, it's getting late. His words brought my head up and I blinked. The sun set without me realizing, pooling below, and the sky was now shades of red and purple. Suddenly, in the real world again, fatigue slammed into me and I collapsed to my knees. Thank you for doing this for me. Every limb was shaking, my clothes completely drenched in sweat. I sucked in air like I couldn't get enough of it. Kondo glanced over at me when I fell to the ground, and his strict teaching expression immediately switched to one of deep concern. I'm sorry, Yukimura. What was I doing? I got so into it that I started pushing you way too hard. I'm fine. The fact that you forgot and ended up teaching me the way... Wait, what? The fact that you forgot and ended up teaching me that way, even though I'm not your student. Thank you. It made me really happy. I see. If that's how you truly feel, then I'm glad there's a bright side to this at least. His face was a mixture of relief and guilt. I am very sorry. I haven't trained anyone like this since the old days, so I kind of fell back into it. You mean before you came to Kyoto? Right. Toji, Soji, and Gen learned Tenin Rishin with me back at Chie Hall, a school of swordplay popular in the Tama region. Kondo is the master of the style, and Hijikata, Okita, and Inoue were among his students. Chie? I bet you I could, drag or something. There are buttons that I'm, button combos that I'm not aware of, even though there's an entire keyboard that they could have used to assign things to. They just seemed to have assigned everything to the mouse. A dojo in Edo that taught the Tenin Rishin style. Its owner was Isami Kondo, a fourth-generation head. Many Shinsengumi members studied or lived there. Sanan, Tondo, Nagakura, and Harada joined us a little later. Oh, and Saito would come by sometimes too. We don't have the free time much anymore, but we used to test our skills against each other in bouts nearly every day. If I remembered correctly, talk of the old days came up once one night, when everyone was well into their sake. Kondo's family were farmers, but it was discovered that he had remarkable skill at sword fighting. The owner of Chie Hall decided to adopt him so he could continue training, and that's where he met Hijikata along with everyone else. Yeah, I see that child you have there. Yoink. I guess. It must have been tough doing all that training. Yes, it was quite harsh, but strangely fulfilling, in a different way than our work now. He gazed off into the distance, clearly reminiscing, and I felt a tiny pang of envy. If I had been born and raised near Mibu, would I have met all of them under different, better circumstances? Kondo turned to look down at me kindly, a gentle smile on his face. Earlier, you said you weren't my student, but... Huh? Since I, a fourth-generation master of Tenin Rishin, spent today training you, that more or less means you're now a disciple of the style as well. That would make you a student like Toshi, Soji, and Gen. Thank you! It was obviously not official, and it was barely a day's worth of instruction, but I was happy. I couldn't stop smiling, my heart felt so light. Kondo, I'm so grateful. Thank you for today. I don't remember this in the original game. Honest to God, I do not know if he's a dateable character. He might be. If so, well, that's a hell of a route. My mind and heart were still reflecting on the wonderful thing that just happened. I returned to my room with my head held high. I'd been staying there for a while now, but sometimes I still felt like I was baggage to them. They needed me for one thing and one thing only. I was never really a part of them, nor did I belong. But now, Kondo's words filled in some of the holes in my heart. Just a little, but I treasured the feeling. Smiling, I collapsed onto my futon. The strain and fatigue from earlier was a good feeling, and I let it drag me under to sleep. Aw, Sakura is such a kind soul, such a good girl. Well, guys, that's it. We completed chapter 2. We are now in chapter 3. Oh, and things are about to get crazy. dawn of the new year arrived. It was February of 1865, and we finished eating breakfast. I was carrying a plate full of tea and opened the door to the common room. Tea's ready. Oh, thank you, Yukimura. I made my way around the room, pouring a cup of tea for each person there, making sure not to spill. He gave me a warm smile as I handed him his tea. There's nothing quite so delicious as hot tea on a cold day. I've given him a sort of old man voice, even though I don't think he's that old. But, you know, he just makes me think of like a dad. Thank you. I felt a flush of pride at his words, even though I knew quite well that serving tea was hardly impressive. Just the same, I felt as if I was helping out in a way, and that was a nice feeling. Then Hijikata spoke, and his words brought me back to the present. The Yagi have been good to us so far, but this place is getting crowded. True, it is getting a little small, especially with all the new guys coming in. If we could move to a bigger place, that'd be great. Some of the guys in the dorm look stiffed. Yeah, the guys over at Meikawa residence are practically smushed sushi the way they sleep. Ah, to be a young grunt these days, I pity them. If only there was something we could do. Easy for us to say, but imagine trying to find who else is willing to let us stay at their place. I mean, we are Kyoto's most hated. A person sitting beside Kondo pointed at the map spread upon the table. Ugh. This guy. Another name for the Nishi Hongwanji. Another name for the Jodo Shinsu Hongwanji Temple in Kyoto. It allowed the Shinsengumi to make the temple their headquarters for a period of time. Well, I guess that sort of, covered that plot before they reached it. What if this? I gotta think of a really annoying voice for him because he makes me think of that. What if this Nishi Hongwanji temple? That's not it. It's gonna evolve. Oh, it's this guy. The Nishi Hongwanji temple. I can't see any reason for them to accept us. But there are no other locations big enough to accommodate a living space for a few hundred men. That's it. That's the voice. And besides, the tactical advantage of this temple would allow us to fortify in times of panic. I don't know why it became slightly British, but, I'll take it. This man was named Kashitaru Ito, recruited by Heisuke a few months ago as the Shinsengumi's military advisor and deputy commander. Military advisor and deputy commander of the Shinsengumi. His field of study is literature with imperialistic philosophy. Oh, okay. He developed his notoriety teaching Hokushin Ito in his dojo, and he is known for his scholarliness. Additionally, it is well known that the Nishi used to shelter the Choshu Ronin. If we move to the Nishi Hongwanji Temple, it would be an advantageous hiding spot from the Ronin. Oh, I see. Very good points. I can't believe you put this much detail into it. Kondo seemed very impressed by Ito's suggestion, but a silent voice of protest arose. You don't think it's somewhat uncouth to use force against men of the cloth? Ito's brow twitched, as if disturbed by the idea, and he faced Sanan directly. Would you say that to the Choshu Ronin who inhabited the temple and did as they pleased? But my, aren't you nice, Sanan? You're even considering the feelings of outlaw Ronin who actively disrupt the peace of Kyoto. Ito's reflection of Sanan's words left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth, including Sanan. I agree that this extremist imperial nationalist party must be dealt with, but this seems... Oh god, oh, it's a new person! Okay, he's just same as Yamazaki until I can think of something. So, what are you saying? When we meet in battle, do you expect them to respect the Shinsengumi on name alone? And to engage in a fight, fair and square? Maybe I'll just give him a British accent too. Wouldn't it be just peachy if all those Choshu Ronin... Sorry, I'm laughing at shonen. If all those Choshu Ronin were on their best behavior like a Kamakura warrior... Saburo, watch your mouth now, darling! Did you just call it darling? Ah, my mistake. Couldn't help myself. The other man beside Ito was Saburo Miki, who joined at the same time as Ito. Allegedly, he was Ito's younger brother by blood. Really? You're related to him? Ew. Captain of the Shinsengumi's 9th Division. He is Kashitaru Ito's younger brother. They joined the Shinsengumi together. I mean, I love his hair. He kind of makes me think of a wolf. My apologies, everyone. This young one here, see, has a tendency to let his mouth run free, you see.
So, Sanan, don't take it too personally. I'm sure we need a person like you to make the Shinsengumi succeed.
Oof. Ah, this is why I hate him. He's mean to Sanan. Get that smug face out of here. I don't like it. I don't. I'm attacking him with my mouse.
Even if your left arm is useless, your indubitable wit and book smart shall prove useful, I'm sure.
See, it was a jab. It was a jab at the fact that Sanan already feels useless. Low blow. Below the belt. Below the belt. I watched as Sanan bit his lip, an act of restraint into Ito's sour words. The tension was cut by another voice. Perhaps I didn't hear you correctly, Ito. Yes, Hijikata, step in. Kick his butt. Kick his butt! Hijikata's voice was cold and sharp, like the sound of a blade sliding across a wet stone. Ito seemed taken aback, and his eyes grew wide. Sanan's smart, like you said. But above all, he's a swordsman of the Shinsengumi. He is not useless, and he is not replaceable. Get it through your head. Hijikata only spoke when necessary, so it must have been something he truly believed. However, but my arm is... He couldn't even seem to bring himself to finish. It seemed as though Hijikata realized his words were reminding Sanan of what he used to be, causing Sanan to curl his lips into a frown.
Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause such a fuss. Next time, I'll keep my thoughts to myself. Sanan is quite the beloved member here, isn't he? It's nice to see such a tight-knit group. It's just that, as I'm sure you've thought about it, I hope the new members share that sentiment.
Hijikata's eyes seethed with anger towards Ito. Wow, this guy is just the worst. Like, I was like, man, I don't really remember why I hated him, but I just know I hate him. And then he's like speaking, and now I just, you going after my boy, you going after Sanan, and I'm not okay with it. Sakura, say something. Kondo tried to relieve this tension by stepping in and clearing the air. Well, for now, let's just keep business strictly in terms of finding a new headquarters location. Ito, would you mind coming with me? I would love to continue our earlier discussion about a new base.
Sure, I would love to.
Seeing the two get up, Takeda followed right behind them. Chief Kondo, may I join as well? Of course. I want to hear what Ito has to offer and broaden your views. Even the captains of the Shinsengumi must push themselves to learn more than fighting. It is our responsibility to grow and gain knowledge to expand our horizons. Yes, sir. Isn't he the suck-up who's just trying to rise up? Kondo left the common room with Ito and Miki, however, who still... Hang on. Kondo left the common room with Ito and Miki, however, who still sat before us. Huh. He smirked coldly towards us, and he slinked off to leave the common room. Ooh! Okita spoke once Miki's footsteps weren't audible. I did click. Okay. Ugh, who brought those bastards into the Shinsengumi? The culprit is still in Ito. Damn it, Heisuke. When he gets back, I'm gonna give him a few punches. Ito is with an Imperial Nationalist Party, aye? Surprising to see people with the same beliefs as those Choshu bastards joining the Shinsengumi. Well, nationalists think themselves to be above the Choshu for whatever it's worth. I mean, the Imperial Nationalist Party is... Well, just listen to the bullshit he was going on about the other day. It seems as though he has rubbed off on Kondo as well, which is a poor influence in my opinion. Well, Kondo is a nice person. He is easily deceived by silver tongues, those who appear virtuous, but are real scumbags. So, Ito is our deputy commander, and his little brother is the captain of the 9th Division, huh? That is gonna be a real bitch. Eventually, Hijikata approached Sanan, who weakly hung his head, facing the floor in shame. Sanan, don't listen to that asshole, okay? Sanan laughed dryly and shook his head. He is well educated and a skilled orator. Not only that, he's good with the sword. With such a gifted deputy commander, I suppose the Shinsengumi has little need for a colonel. Hey, Sanan! Sanan left the room as Hijikata's voice trailed behind, echoing in the hall. Man, I feel bad for him. Even the men are avoiding him these days. What? But why? Well, can't blame him. No matter what you say to him, he takes it the wrong way. And no matter what you say, he acts like such a smug smartass, so the warriors are intimidated and want nothing to do with him.
Oh no, poor Sanan.
Even though I haven't been here as long as the captains, I knew Sanan was so well liked by the other warriors before his injury. Hey, Hijikata, can't you come up with some bullshit excuse to kick Ito out? I'm not trying. Oh god. Ever since they arrived, it's been nothing but bad vibes and sour moods. You know damn well I can't do that. I mean, look at the way Kondo fawns over Ito. Besides, he brought a large force of men behind him when he joined. You think they won't make a stink if he were to just disappear? Oh, damn. Aren't you supposed to be the demon? The commander from hell? You're supposed to make the impossible happen. Fine, Soji, how about we make you commander? Then you can kick Ito and his guys out, right? Ha! Hell no. That's way too much trouble. The consensus was that Ito was not to be trusted, and it seems no one spoke in his defense. Only one, during all of this, quietly sipped his tea. Saito quietly looked up at me as I poured more tea into his cup.
So, what do you think about Ito? I mean, about Ito joining, that is.
As an organization grows, it will expand to include people who have differing ideas and points of view.
Ah, so then...
However, if one attempts to force this sort of diversity, then the organization will begin to rot from within. His words hung in the air, a dark omen for the future of the Shinsengumi. It was considerate of Ito to join, but his presence seemed to be a recipe for dissension, if not outright disaster. Kondo, damn it! The setting sun glowed through the windows with a warm, rich maroon, an ominous kind of beauty.
It's cold.
I came out into the courtyard and my body stopped due to the cold. Guess spring will take a while. I wasn't too fond of Ito, but it was Sanan and his condition that truly worried me.
I really wish his arm would just heal.
That arm, or perhaps more accurately the lack of it, was the source of his change in personality.
Still,
as nice as it would be for Sanan's arm to simply start working again, that seemed like the stuff of a child's fable, not real life. That was when I remembered. If push comes to shove, he'll have to take it. I don't think Sanan's just going to give up. Don't jinx him, Soji. It's gonna look bad if officers start joining the Furies. Okita was talking about the Shinsengumi having some secret serum back in the day. They never used that word! Judging from how they spoke of it, it's an item with circumstances.
But...
And I was not to know about the existence of that serum. If I were to look into it without approval, there was no doubt that I'd be punished. But I'm the daughter of a doctor. I'm pretty sure I had more knowledge on medicine than the men of the Shinsengumi did. Investigate. Really? Look, it's not that I don't trust the guy. Oh, hey, nope. Why? Okay, I'm sorry. For some reason, when I was clicking around, it was like, nah. Investigate. I'm going to muster the courage to look into this. But where should I investigate? My room is in the Yagi house. There are some rooms that I am not allowed to enter, but the captains live here as well, and I'd finally learned how to navigate the building. However, there was another building that was part of the headquarters for the Shinsengumi, aside from the Yagi house. Excuse me. Some of the leaders, along with other warriors, live in the Maikawa house diagonal from... I have the hiccups, I think. From Yagi. And Sanan, who's injured, has been holed up in the Nambu residence, located behind Yagi. Located in the back of the Yagi residence, Sanan takes refuge here after suffering injuries, and it is later used to hide other Furies. Well, okay, that was kind of a spoiler. Since it's a residence, one cannot just stroll there casually, and since it is barely used by anyone other than Sanan, it is a little isolated. If there are secrets being kept from me, then they have to be kept in a place I'd never think to check. If I were to look into it, it would either be in the forbidden areas of the Yagi residence. What? If I were to look into it, it would either be in the or the forbidden area. Okay, well, yeah, it would either be in there or the forbidden. That's all I could think of. I can't really. Okay, we are to investigate the Yagi house. It was night at the Yagi house and dead silent. I tiptoed down the halls as quietly as possible. We gonna get killed? Huh? Were my ears playing tricks on me, or did someone just walk into the common room? I would be in trouble if someone saw me, so I did my best to blend into the shadows and hide. Oh yeah, I'm sure we do great at that. We're typical anime girl. Absolutely useless. After a few moments of heart-pounding seclusion, my curiosity got the better of me. That's Yukimura in a nutshell. Curiosity getting the better of her. I departed my hiding place and crept toward the common room. I peered inside. Inside was Sanan. I wondered why. Something felt wrong. I just stood there. What is Sanan doing here late at night? I was at a loss. Should I speak to him, or... Before I could make up my mind, he turned. I never thought that it would be you who would catch me. How unexpected. Sanan gazed directly at me and muttered, "You're out there, aren't you, Yukimura? Come out." I guess he spotted me. I gave up and made myself visible to Sanan. I'm sorry if it seemed like I was snooping or watching what you were doing. Well, I don't plan on scolding you. I mean, if you see a suspicious shadow in the middle of the night, of course you'd be curious. Yes, that is definitely, absolutely why I left my room. I wasn't being sneaky. It was very subtle, but I noticed something was off in Sanan's attitude. No, hang on. He had a peaceful smile, something I hadn't seen for what felt like ages. It was a bit too peaceful, as if his worries had suddenly left him. It was an expression I have never seen since he'd gotten injured. Sanan? Did something good happen? Why, yes, something did. Or rather, I guess I finally made up my mind. We picked an interesting route, guys. Like, I'm not gonna lie. We picked an interesting route. Something swished in his hand. Sanan, what is that? You're wondering what this is, I imagine. I did just ask. You know, there's not a lot of imagination to it, Sanan, my guy. After his cryptic reply, he showed me what was in his hand. Sanan was holding a small bottle made from fine idro, refers to glass, also called poppin. Okay. The glass was filled with a crimson liquid that looked like a poisonous... Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry. Oof. It's not even that late. It's like 9. Like a poisonous chemical to me. This is a secret treatment developed by your father, Kodo, under orders from the shogunate. What? The shogunate ordered my father to do something? They say it first appeared out west. The contents of this tiny vial can utterly transform a person. Why? Yeah, it's Sanan. I'm not supposed to know this stuff. I don't know if you forgot that. What do you mean by utterly transform? To put it simply, it makes them stronger and heightens their recuperative abilities. It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. If such a thing were to truly exist, the serum would be considered a miracle cure, but there is, however, a rather serious flaw. His smile twisted only a little. I suppose you could say it was too strong. It worked as advertised, but drove its patients mad. You've seen the results yourself, haven't you? Of course we did. Of course. I'd seen the results of that madness the night I first met the Shinsengumi. Okita and Saito had killed off that monster with the white hair. Hope you guys didn't forget none of that supernatural goodness. Your assumptions are correct. Yes, those warriors you met are of that ilk. They were no longer capable of what one might call rational thought, and were little more than bloodthirsty monsters. His words brought a sharp chill down my spine. How horrible! If they lose control whenever they see blood, then they're hardly much use in battle, aren't they? As unkillable as they may be. Kodo conducted experiments on the core during the development of his treatment. No! My father? Conducting experiments on human beings that made them go mad at the sight of blood? I couldn't believe it. No, I didn't want to believe it. But there was no reason for Sanan to lie either. I saw it before my very eyes. Then did father really? Sanan shrugged off my disbelief and continued. Unfortunately, when he disappeared, his research was put on hold. This vial here represents the fruits of my own personal research, based on what he left behind. He smirked and shook the bottle gently. The liquid inside sloshed from side to side, almost lazily. I've diluted it as much as possible. I had so many questions to ask him, but I didn't even know where to start, so I simply spoke the first thing that came to mind. If you drink that, will you be okay? So that serum, will it prevent you from going mad? To be quite honest, I'm not entirely sure. I've never tested it on anyone. His smile faded. If I take this, my arm will heal, assuming, of course, I've mixed it correctly.
You mean you're actually considering taking it?
He had no guarantee that it wouldn't simply kill him outright, and even if he did survive, it might well drive him insane. Sakura, my dear, he is a samurai who can't use his sword. Death is better.
Sanan, please reconsider this. I'm sure there's some other way. You don't need to rely on the...
I have no choice. This is the only way to heal this damn arm. I'm already useless here. Even the men have begun to speak ill of me behind my back. Yeah, no, that's actually kind of just because you're a giant dick. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you. You will never understand me. I came all the way to Edo alongside my comrades, whom I thought were behind me. And now I'm left here, given a position out of pity, and left to wallow in my own uselessness.
How could you say it's pity? You're a leader here. The Shinsengumi respects and needs you now more than ever.
Sanan's eyes dotted with melancholy, flashing a brief smile that entertained the idea behind my words. Ah yes, I remember it well. I am a swordsman of the Shinsengumi, yes? I am not useless, right? Sanan seemed bitterly focused on the words Hijikata said earlier. They really did affect him. There is no life for me as a swordsman. You're asking me to continue in some sort of undeath. Let me die as a person as well.
No!
It's not decided that it'll fail. The odds against success aren't as terrible as you think. Sanan smiled as he said that, but there was no way to know what might happen to him. Considering the worst that could happen, I couldn't sit by and allow him to do this. Persuade him. We have to try. Scream. Just open my mouth and scream. Just wail. Top of my lungs.
I still don't think you should take that serum. There's a higher chance that it'll fail, right? If the others knew that you were here doing this, they would all try and stop you.
I'm sure Todo would be greatly disappointed. He is a good man. I thought at first that he was beginning to reconsider, but my faint hope was shattered with words of resignation. Well then, if I should die, please give my regards to Todo.
What?
I really am in hell now, to be pitied even by the likes of you. What is that supposed to mean? Excuse me. Rude. Frickin' rude, Sanan. Those were his last words. He suddenly gulped down the red liquid stored in the bottle of fine itro.
No!
The bottle slipped from Sanan's hands and crashed into 1,000 tiny bits on the floor. A scarlet drop oozed down from the corner of his lip. Ugh! Sanan grumbled to the floor.
Sanan!
Ugh! I paused, uncertain. He groaned in agony and pulled his hand back to grip his chest over his heart. It's clear he was suffering.
Hang in there. I'll go get someone right now.
I took a step forward, about to place my hand gently on his back. Uh-oh.
Ah!
His right arm whipped out, almost too fast to see, and threw me across the room. I slammed into the wall and slid to the floor. I could barely breathe. My vision went blurry for a moment. I coughed once and looked up, just in time to see Sanan land on top of me, his hands already reaching for my throat. Ah, crap. Sanan's lost it.
Ugh.
His right arm reached for my throat and he relentlessly started to choke me. The hands around my throat were Sanan's, but the man behind them was someone else, his silver white hair glistening in the dim light, his bright, maddening red eyes showing through his bangs. I knew those eyes. His eyes were the eyes of a predator, not a man. I saw eyes just like the night I arrived in Kyoto. Those creatures in the alley, drenched in blood. Monsters. As he choked me, I desperately tried to keep breathing. No, this wasn't a monster. This was Sanan. He was still the man I knew.
Sanan!
Suddenly the fingers around my neck loosened. Ugh. Had he just let me go? That was a cough, I swear to God. I crumbled to the floor and I gasped for air through a throat still red with his handprint. My tearful eyes caught sight of Sanan, whose hair now shone white brilliantly. Well, I see I failed then. Perhaps I'm not as lucky as I thought. In the depth of those red eyes, there was a faint sign of reason. I clicked, I swear.
Sanan, are you back?
Yukimura, I have a favor to ask you. Please, kill me while you have the chance.
What?
I'm not trying to do that. His words weren't registering in my head, and I could do nothing but look into his eyes. I failed. I can already feel my mind starting to go. At this rate, I will kill you. No! At this moment, memories of when I'd first arrived in Kyoto and of the Ikeda incident flashed before me. I witnessed so many deaths in this time. Did we? I think we actually only witnessed like 2, maybe 5, if you include the Furies. I don't think we actually saw that many people like die. I guess, I mean, if you've never seen someone die at all, 5 would still be quite a lot. I came to terms with the idea that, for a member of the Shinsengumi, death is a constant. But never could I imagine taking someone's life. Most of all, Sanan's. No, I can't. I couldn't do that. I mean, you're still you, Sanan. Oh, my boy. What is this before me? Is this beauty? In spite of everything, you have faith. Even so, show the mercy of death so that I may pass. Sanan shouted at me and grabbed my collar. Ah! I could see his red eyes flickering. Sanan struggled with his remaining willpower to fend against the madness boiling inside of him. If you don't kill me, then you will die. I know you are only here by chance, and I am sorry that I must ask you to do this. I'm so sorry. His right hand slid off my throat, and I felt it land on the hilt of my sword. Huh? What is he doing? As I stood there confused, Sanan's fingers wrapped around the handle and began to pull. Oh no, no! Too late, I realized what he meant to do, and I felt ice creep up my spine. Sanan, please, you can't! I tried with all my might to pry his arm away and prevent him from drawing my sword, but it's made the task much harder. But a blade in my heart will kill me, as dead as any other man. I can't! Kill me. He spoke in starts and stops now as tendrils of madness began to pull him under. Please, let me die. My sword was now completely drawn, and he pointed it towards his breast over his heart. Sanan! Just as the white, shining tip of the blade was about to pierce his heart. Yeah! Sanan screamed in anguish, dropping the sword he was gripping. Sanan? What just happened? When I ran towards him, Sanan collapsed to the floor. Sanan! Oops, they got that wrong. That's definitely not Sanan speaking here. Sanan, hang in there! Sanan! I ran over to him and rushed to check his pulse. He was still breathing. He had only lost consciousness. This alone gave me a great feeling of relief, but suddenly the door behind me slid open. I rushed to look back when... Sakura. Sanan. Okita! Sanan! He's... Okita had a cold expression. Let me get a good look at him. His eyes narrowed and I saw them flick around the room, from Sanan's limp body to myself to the shattered vial. Okita's mouth tightened and he bent down to lift Sanan off the floor. When you drink that stuff, supposedly your body just can't handle it. It hurts like hell, and you start to lose it. He probably couldn't take it, and just passed out. Oh. After finding that it wasn't life-threatening, I felt a pang of relief. Well, the real painful part comes later. We can't afford for Sanan to die just yet, so make sure he hangs in there. His tone was surprisingly detached considering the circumstances, and Okita picked up Sanan before leaving the room. Once they left, I collapsed to the floor out of supreme exhaustion and slumped into myself. I finally tapped into the secrets of the Shinsengumi. I'm not trying! For so long it was kept from me, and now their forbidden secrets were revealed. My mind went blank due to confusion and fear, but I knew what I saw. Stop that! I think it is because I'm dragging down. After Sanan collapsed, the captains rushed into the room. They must have heard the commotion from the common room. Everything glowed white after, and I realized that I was in a daze. None of their words stuck in my ear, and I wobbled back to my room. Seriously, you can really be a pain, you know that? Okita had taken me back to my room, and I heard him as soon as he opened the door for me. Time for you to explain what went on last night. Last night? This night? When night? Why were you in there with Sanan? Okita was never particularly pleasant to me, but his tone was even harsher than usual. I felt like there was someone in the common room. I was curious, so I had a look. I found Sanan in there. I see. Okita's lackadaisical response seemed disarming, and he just scanned me. Although my mind had cleared somewhat, it was still difficult to keep my thoughts organized. One, however, rose quickly to the surface. Is it true that my father had something to do with that stuff that Sanan drank? Did Sanan tell you that? Yes. He said it makes you stronger, but it drives you mad. He fixed his eyes warily on the ceiling above us before sighing before eventually answering my question. You are the daughter of the man who made that stuff, and you've seen what happens to the men who go crazy. I suppose you do have a right to know. It'd be easier to just kill you, but oh well. His manner of speaking was far removed than his usual joking self when he mentioned killing, but this time it felt like he meant it. He could kill me at any time. So, you got any questions? I suppose I can answer one. I desperately searched for the words. Why did the Shinsengumi get involved in something like this? Excuse me. Our job is to crack down on outlaw Ronin, but you know that doing so isn't some walk in the park, right? Yeah. Among the Ronin, there are plenty that are actually skilled swordsmen. When I was on the rounds, I saw many such men fighting and dueling amongst themselves. Alright guys, we are gonna leave it here. Why does it keep doing this? I'm trying to save and it's like, oh boy. There, okay, sort of. I got it, sort of. I'm sorry, I know this is flickering back and forth. It's like tabbing out when I click save. This isn't the best version of Hakuoki. I mean like functionally, like there's a lot of bugs and a lot of like little mistakes, but I still love it. I do. I really do. Alright. I am gonna have to leave it here. I desperately want to keep going because, you know, we are getting into the Sanan stuff, you know, we are getting into it, but my throat is starting to go. I think my voice is gonna start going soon because a lot of these voices just push on my throat a little bit, so you know, only so far as I can go. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you're enjoying this still, and again, as always, I am appreciative for your interest in this series and how you guys take part in it, and I love you all very much, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.